right now you probably have, I don't know, maybe 3 different note-taking apps on your phone.
Oh, at least 3. Probably more if you count the default ones.
Right. Like one has your grocery list, one has a half-written email from last Tuesday, and one is just like an absolute graveyard of brilliant ideas you haven't looked at since 2021.
Yeah, the digital junk drawer. We all have one.
Exactly. But why is it that, the smarter our software gets, the more scattered our brains actually feel?
Well, I mean, it's because we're trying to force totally fluid human thoughts into these rigid artificial structures.
Like folders and subfolders.
Right. The human brain doesn't think in neat little manila folders. But almost every piece of software forces us to categorize a thought before we've even finished having it.
Oh, wow.
And that premature categorization, it creates massive cognitive friction.
Which perfectly brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at a highly detailed masterclass framework. It's basically a system of protocols designed to teach you how to reach the top 1% of power users.
The true elite tier of productivity.
Yeah, and it does this by combining 2 completely distinct productivity heavyweights, Workflowy and Notion. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Whether you're managing a massive corporate team or, honestly, just trying to stop drowning in a sea of personal admin, this is about building a true personal OS.
An operating system for your mind.
Right. And the core of this entire framework rests on understanding a massive paradigm shift. It's the difference between fluid capture and structured storage.
And that paradigm, that's the key to literally everything we're going to discuss today.
Because most systems try to do both, right?
Exactly. The reason most personal organization systems fail is they try to be fluid and structured at the same time. You just can't. The framework we're analyzing separates them completely.
Okay, so it starts with the fluid side.
Right, which is where Workflowy comes in. But to understand Workflowy, you have to abandon, everything you know about traditional file management.
Yeah, because the framework insists on this concept called the single-page philosophy. And I gotta say, for anyone coming from a world of desktop folders and, Google Drive directories...
That sounds terrifying.
It sounds like pure, unfiltered anxiety. You are telling me that everything I will ever write, think, or plan is supposed to exist on one single, infinite list of bullet points.
I know, it sounds chaotic, but that's only until you understand the mechanics of infinite nesting.
Okay, break that down for me.
So traditional folders act as opaque boxes, right? You have to open the box to see what's inside, and when you do that, you lose sight of the bigger picture.
You're just staring at files in a box.
Exactly. But in a single-page infinite outliner like Workflowy, every single bullet point, or node as they call it, can act as its own document. It can contain 1,000 other bullet points nested inside it.
I think the best way to visualize this from the source material is like a digital Russian nesting doll.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like you can sit back and look at the whole doll, where your entire life is just 3 top-level bullets, like work, personal, and someday.
Nice and clean.
But then you can open up work, and there's another doll. And you can keep opening them, nesting deeper and deeper into the molecular structure of a project.
Down to the absolute tiny detail.
Yeah, down to a bullet point nested 8 layers deep that just says open account. But I have to imagine if you're looking at a list with 10,000 nested bullets, that would be visually paralyzing.
But what's fascinating here is how the software actively protects your attention. They call it the art of the zoom.
The art of the zoom. I like that.
Yeah, so when you are staring at that massive list, clicking on any single bullet point instantly elevates that specific bullet to become the root of your screen.
Wait, so the rest of the list just disappears?
Completely. A little breadcrumb trail appears at the top to show you where you are, but the rest of your digital life totally vanishes from the screen.
Oh, so you get the deep focus of a blank page.
Exactly. But without ever losing the structural context of where that page lives in your broader life.
That's huge. But let's talk about the physical reality of how we actually work. Because a huge part of our digital life doesn't happen sitting at a dual monitor desk setup.
No, we're on our phones, we're moving.
Right. If I'm walking out of the grocery store and I only have one hand free and my boss calls with a massive shift in project strategy.
Which always happens, right?
Always. How does the framework handle that micro friction? Because if I have to click through 6 nested layers on a tiny mobile screen just to log a thought, I'm just not going to do it.
And that mobile friction is exactly where complex systems usually collapse. You just stop using them.
Totally.
So the framework specifically addresses this by optimizing for immediate single-tap capture. It details using an Android quick capture widget, for instance.
Okay, so a button right on the home screen.
Yeah, it acts as a permanent butter. You tap it once, dictate or type the thought into a designated inbox node, and then you just close the phone.
So you don't organize it right then?
No, never. You just capture it. And later, when you're actually executing tasks on mobile, the framework highlights the swipe to complete function.
Oh, I saw that in the sources.
Yeah, instead of meticulously trying to tap a tiny little checkbox on a moving train or whatever, you literally just swipe your thumb across the text and it crosses it out.
Okay, so the friction is super low. But if Workflowy is essentially just a giant wall of plain text bullets, how do we track moving parts without it turning into just a messy brain dump?
That is a very common trap.
Right, because if I have a massive nested list for a product launch, how do I easily see what needs my attention right now versus, what's waiting on someone else?
Well, that's where you introduce metadata, but through a very strict syntax rule. The framework draws a hard line between two types of tags.
Okay, so we're not just tagging randomly.
No, it's very deliberate. You use the hashtag symbol, like hashtag urgent or hashtag marketing, strictly for keyword filtering and status tracking.
Got it. And the other tag?
You use the @ symbol, like @Sarah or @Office, exclusively to designate context, location, or the specific people involved.
Ah, okay, so if I click hashtag urgent and @Sarah, the infinite list instantly collapses to show me only the specific nested bullets where Sarah owes me something right now.
Exactly. It filters out everything else in milliseconds.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And for people who aren't naturally linear thinkers, like people who just hate staring at text outlines, the framework has this brilliant workaround.
The board view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just type the tag exclamation point board on any parent bullet point, and the software instantly reframes all the nested bullets underneath it into a visual Kanban board.
Complete with draggable columns.
Right, so you can physically drag a task from an in-progress column to a done column, just from typing one tag.
It perfectly illustrates the concept of a fluid structure. I mean, you aren't permanently locking your data into a specific format.
You can view it however makes sense in the moment.
Exactly. You can outline a massive marketing strategy in a text format to really understand the hierarchy and then instantly flip it into a visual board when you need to track the daily execution of those tasks.
Let's pivot slightly and talk about the biggest, most natural friction point in any organizational system.
Okay, hit me.
What happens when a single task belongs in two totally different places at the same time?
Oh, the duplication problem.
Right. Let's say I have a complex node for a website redesign, and it's buried in my work hierarchy. But there's a specific urgent task nested inside it, like approve final logo design.
Sure.
I need that task to show up on my today's to-dos list, which is a totally separate section of my nesting DOM. Do I just copy and paste it?
No. If you copy and paste it, you've instantly broken your system.
Because now they're out of sync.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You now have two isolated, disconnected tasks. You cross off the one on your daily to-do list, but the original task buried in the project folder remains unchecked. The whole system becomes unreliable.
So how does the framework handle it?
To solve this, it introduces a mechanic called mirrors. You use the keyboard shortcut Alt-Shift-M. A mirror is exactly what it sounds like. It's a live, actively syncing clone of a specific bullet point.
Okay, I have to push back on this because this sounds like a recipe for a massive Kanban hack.
How so?
It sounds like quantum entanglement for your notes. Like, if I have live clones of my data bouncing around different lists, what happens when I'm clearing out my daily to-do list at 5 p.m.?
Okay, I see where you're going.
If I just hit the backspace or delete key on that mirrored approve Lodo task because I just don't want it on my daily dashboard anymore, does it wipe out the master task sitting 3 folders deep in the client project?
It's a very valid concern.
Because accidentally deleting core project files terrifies me.
That is the exact fear every new user has. And it's why understanding the mechanics of a mirror is so crucial. The software actually differentiates between deleting a mirror and deleting the underlying data.
Oh, really? How does it know?
So if you are looking at your daily to-do list and you hit complete, crossing the task out that completion syncs everywhere, the project folder registers it as done.
Right, which is what we want.
But if you simply hit backspace to delete the mirrored bullet from your daily list, the software recognizes you are just removing the reflection.
The reflection, okay.
The original source node remains completely safe and untouched in its project folder.
Okay, phew. That makes sense. So I'm just shattering the mirror. I'm not destroying the room it's reflecting.
That is exactly right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, mirrors aren't just about making backup copies. They are about building global dashboards.
Global dashboards. Tell me more about that.
The philosophy here is that you want to keep all your project details meticulously organized deep within their logical nesting dolls. You don't want to move them out of their context.
Right, leave the project stuff in the project folder.
But you can mirror just the immediate next action steps from, say, 20 different ongoing projects and funnel all of those mirrors into a single daily dashboard.
Oh, wow. So the system actually creates an invisible project list.
Yes.
When you sit down with your coffee in the morning, you aren't overwhelmed by the terrifying weight of 20 massive projects. You are only looking at a carefully curated list of the immediate next steps.
Pulled dynamically from everywhere else in your system.
And the framework notes you can even automate the creation of these dashboards, right? By using advanced search operators.
You can entirely automate the retrieval process. The framework uses search operators like last change deployment or is pull scan.
So it's constant scan.
Exactly. When you save a complex search query like that, it ceases to be just a search. It becomes a dynamic, auto-updating dashboard.
That's incredible.
You click it, and the system instantly sweeps your entire infinite outline, pulling every relevant node to the surface, regardless of where it's buried. You literally stop organizing your life by where something is saved and start organizing it by what the information actually is.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If Workflowy is this infinite quantum-entangled wonderland where I can build dynamic dashboards and instantly zoom into my thoughts, why on earth does this masterclass framework force us to use a second application?
The Notion question.
Yeah, the entire syllabus revolves around a Workflowy and Notion hybrid stack. Why complicate this perfectly fluid ecosystem with a heavy, complex second app?
Because eventually, fluid brainstorming needs a permanent structural foundation. Remember that core paradigm we talked about earlier? Workflowy is fluid, Notion is structured.
Right, fluid versus structured.
Workflowy is unparalleled for the speed of thought. It's for rapid capture, mind mapping, and manipulating those volatile day-to-day tasks. But it is fundamentally just text. Notion, on the other hand, is a relational database.
Let's translate relational database for someone who isn't, a database engineer.
Please do.
So in a standard folder system, a file just sits there. But in a relational database like Notion, it's more like a highly intelligent digital filing cabinet. You can have a database of clients and a totally separate database of invoices. And Notion allows you to link them. So if you open the client A page, it automatically pulls in every invoice, project, and meeting note associated with them from across your entire system. It builds context automatically.
Precisely. Notion is designed to be a permanent repository. It's the structured hub for long-form content archiving, complex financial tracking, and collaborative wikis.
All the heavy lifting.
Yeah, it handles the heavy, rigid data that Workflowy's fluid outline just isn't designed to support.
But getting these two vastly different architectures to actually talk to each other presents a major mechanical limitation. And the framework is very transparent about this.
It is. It's a known bottleneck.
Right. If you try to move a complex, infinitely nested brainstorm from Workflowy directly into Notion, it breaks. Workflowy uses native Markdown, which, for those who don't know, is just a lightweight way to format text using symbols, like using asterisks for bolding.
But the issue isn't the formatting.
Exactly. It's not the bold text, it's the depth.
Yes, the nesting limit. Notion operates on a fundamentally different block-based architecture.
Right. So if you have a Workflowy outline that goes, say, 8 or 9 levels deep into a complicated problem, and you export that into Notion, Notion's database structure simply cannot physically replicate that level of infinite depth.
It just hits a wall.
It hits a wall around 5 or 6 levels, and it starts converting your beautifully nested thoughts into flat lists or clunky toggles. It visually flattens your complex thought process.
Which is incredibly frustrating if you're not expecting it.
Yeah. And that mechanical limitation proves exactly why Workflowy is required. Notion forces structure too early. It will literally compress a deep brainstorm until it loses its nuance.
Which is exactly why the framework defines Workflowy as the processing bridge.
The processing bridge?
Right. You do the messy, infinitely deep, nonlinear thinking in the fluid space. You untangle the problem in Workflowy, but when the project is finalized, or when a piece of knowledge reaches a state where it needs to be archived permanently alongside client invoices, then you move the polished, finalized data over to Notion's structure.
And once you hit the year 3 power user level of this syllabus, You aren't even doing that data transfer manually anymore.
Oh, the automations are incredible.
The framework details utilizing third-party automation tools like Zapier or Make.com. You can set up a background trigger so that the moment you tag a Workflowy bullet with a specific label, like #archive, Zapier detects that keystroke.
It just watches for the tag.
And it seamlessly pushes the text as a brand new, perfectly formatted database entry straight into Notion.
Or you can bypass the data transfer entirely by using native embeds.
Oh, the embed trick. I love this.
You can literally generate a live interactive window of a Workflowy node and embed it directly onto a Notion page.
So you see Workflowy inside Notion.
Yes. You end up with the best of both worlds. You have the beautiful, rigid structure of a Notion client dashboard, but right in the center of the screen is a live, fluid window into your active, Workflowy brainstorming session for that client.
Okay, so this raises an important question.
Duh.
We have spent all this time building an incredibly powerful engine. We have the automated bridges, the live syncing mirrors, the relational databases.
A lot of tech.
But a Formula One engine is completely useless if you don't have a steering wheel. How do we actually run our daily lives with this? Because having a pristine software stack won't magically make you productive if you don't have a methodology dictating how you process the information.
That is so true. The software will only ever amplify your existing habits.
Yeah,
If your habits are chaotic, the automation will just make you chaotic faster.
a very fast mess.
Exactly. So the framework relies heavily on grafting proven offline productivity methodologies onto this digital stack.
Let's look at how the framework maps these out practically. Take David Allen's classic GTD, or Getting Things Done methodology.
A classic for a reason.
Right. In this stack, Workflowy acts as the ultimate frictionless GTD inbox. You use that mobile widget we talked about to dump every passing thought out of your brain without organizing it.
Just get it out of your head.
Exactly. Then, during a dedicated weekly review session, you process that inbox. You apply the #NextAction tags and create those mirrored global dashboards.
And for knowledge workers, the framework integrates Zettelkasten.
Flipbox.
Yes, Zettelkasten is a German term for a slipbox, which is a personal knowledge management system. Mechanically, it works by treating every single bullet point in Workflowy as an atomic number, a zettel.
So instead of writing a massive 10-page document summarizing a book,
Yep,
you break the concepts down into single isolated bullet points.
exactly. And the magic happens when you use those double bracket internal links, typing bracket to connect those isolated points.
Like a wiki.
Just like a wiki. You might link a bullet point about dopamine loops from a psychology book to a totally different bullet point about marketing hooks in a business node.
So you aren't just storing text. You are mimicking the way biological neurons fire, creating a web of linked ideas that eventually start generating new insights of their own.
But building architectures like GTD or Zettelkasten, it takes guidance. And the framework strictly curates a specific list of resources for mastering these setups.
Who do they recommend?
So, to understand the overarching architecture of digital storage, it directs you to Tiago Forte's PAA method.
Oh, PRE is great. Projects, areas, resources, archives.
Exactly. Then, for mastering the deep relational database mechanics of Notion, it points directly to Marie Poulin's comprehensive Notion mastery programs.
She's the Notion queen.
She really is. And for comparing the philosophies behind the tools themselves, it cites Francesco D'Alessio's key production ecosystem.
And for the absolute power users, like people who want to break the limits of the software, the framework highlights a legendary community developer known as Roberts.
Oh, the WFX toolkit.
Yes. This developer creates custom user scripts, specifically the WFX toolkit, which allows you to inject entirely new macro commands into the Workflowy interface. You're essentially rewriting the software to suit your specific brain.
Those resources are highlighted because they teach you the underlying philosophy of system design. They teach you how to think rather than just what buttons to click.
Right, but even with the perfect philosophy and a flawless architecture, everyday use always uncovers tiny moments of micro friction,
The little annoyances that add up.
which is exactly what the framework addresses in its section on blind spots and hidden gems.
I love this section.
These are the obscure, undocumented quality of life mechanics that usually take years of daily frustrating trial and error to discover. I want to highlight a few of these because they actively reduce cognitive fatigue. First, the navigation reset.
Oh, the double click.
Yes, if you are 8 layers deep into a complex project and just feeling overwhelmed, simply double-clicking the home icon instantly collapses every expanded node across your entire account.
It acts as an immediate psychological reset. It literally sweeps the desk clean. instantly returning you to that calm, top-level perspective of the Russian nesting doll.
It's so satisfying. Next is the reality of accidental deletion. Because in most apps, the trash can is just a void.
It's gone forever.
But in this framework, the trash is actually just a hidden, fully searchable node. If you accidentally delete a massive project hierarchy, it isn't gone. It's just been moved to a hidden branch of your infinite tree, and you can search for the text to instantly restore it.
Such a lifesaver.
Also, the date parsing is a massive time saver. When setting a reminder, you don't have to navigate a tiny, clunky calendar grid. You can type in natural language words like next Tuesday or remind me in 3 hours, and the system automatically parses that text and converts it into a functional, synced timestamp.
Again, it's about eliminating the friction of translation. The less mental energy you spend translating your fluid human thought into rigid computer logic, the more energy you have left for actual creative work.
And the framework even addresses visual fatigue. Because if you are staring at a blindingly white screen all day, you are going to burn out.
Eye strain is real.
It details how you can use custom CSS code injected via browser extensions, like Stylus, to completely alter the software's interface. And this isn't just about making it look pretty, it is functional customization.
How so?
Well, if you have ADHD and find standard software menus distracting, you can use CSS to strip away every icon and button, leaving nothing but a minimalist, distraction-free canvas.
Oh, wow.
Or you can reskin the entire app to look like a high-contrast, dark mode hacker terminal. You mold the environment to fit your neurochemistry.
And that ultimate flexibility, that is the defining goal of a personal operating system.
So what does this all mean? We have journeyed from a chaotic mental junk drawer to an infinite single-page outline. We've untangled overlapping tasks using quantum-entangled mirrors. We've built an automated bridge into a permanent relational database and customized the very code of the interface to match our visual needs.
It's been quite a journey.
But the core takeaway here isn't about working more hours or typing faster. Mastering this hybrid stack is about building a trusted digital ecosystem where rapid, fluid thought seamlessly feeds into structured, permanent knowledge. It's about designing a system so reliable that you can finally offload the stress of remembering and dedicate 100% of your brain power to actually thinking.
And, if we follow that logic to its absolute conclusion, it raises a deeply provocative question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's assume you do it. You build this ultimate top 1% system perfectly. You construct an infinite, interlinked digital mirror of your brain where no thought is ever lost, every idea is instantly searchable, and context is generated automatically.
Sounds like utopia.
Right, but how does living with that flawless external brain change our internal biological memory? By successfully offloading our entire mental architecture into a flawless digital hybrid, do we finally free our minds to reach unprecedented levels of creativity and presence? Or do we slowly atrophy our own biological ability to connect the dots ourselves, simply because we've permanently outsourced the job of remembering to the machine?
Wow. That is a fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying thought to chew on.
It really makes you wonder.
We started today talking about that messy, chaotic junk drawer in your kitchen. And what this framework teaches us is that the goal isn't to perfectly categorize every single rubber band and battery. The goal is to build a drawer so smart and so seamlessly integrated into how you naturally think that you never even have to look inside it to find exactly what you need. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning your systems, keep exploring the mechanics of how you work, and we'll catch you next time.